Hey everyone, this is Andy, better known as Love Retro BTW on Twitter, X, Threads, IG, and Cafe BTW on TikTok and YouTube. A quick update that the Cafe BTW podcast is taking a very long hiatus, but I still have something really amazing to share with you. We have a fantastic retro gaming community on Twitter X where we've crossed well over 2,000 passionate members. And if you're a lover of retro gaming, this is the perfect place to share your content, showcase your pickups, or just chat about your favorite old school games. To dive into nostalgia and become a part of the thriving community, click in the show notes on the Cafe BTW link tree or go right to my Twitter X profile on Love Retro BTW. And now, without further ado, gear up for another sensational episode of the Gamers Week podcast.
This time on Gamers Week podcast.
And I am taking a look at the Twin Galaxies store, and I think I need this world record holder t-shirt that they have.
Yeah.
You're actually one of the few people that deserve that. So maybe they should give it to you for free.
I don't think they're giving away those things for free.
Yeah, one of their hoodies is like $75. Are you crazy?
They have a lot of money to make up after dealing with this 6-year lawsuit.
I think it would have been more happy doing a GoFundMe than paying $75 for
Couldn't you see Billy Mitchell getting the names of everybody who donated to a GoFundMe against him and going after them?
Probably, yeah. I'm going to say she's 16, going on 17, right? She's had her first champagne at this point. Let's be honest.
What the hell are you talking about?
Her, what is it? Brigitte, the oldest one, right? I am 16, going on 17. Her line at the end is, I'd love to stay and have my first champagne.
Oh, okay. I've never seen the movie.
You've never seen A Sound of Music?
No, it's never been a desire of mine to watch that movie.
Patron movie night!
No,
Patron
God,
movie
no.
night.
It's so fucking long.
It's only like 3 hours. Come on. How do you solve a problem like Donnie G?
Whoa.
I really wouldn't have pegged you as a big musical person, Ryan.
But you would peg him.
Now we're talking.
I'm going to need a few drinks first. All right. Are we ready?
Mm-hmm.
Guess.
You guess?
I guess.
All right. Welcome to Gamers Week podcast. Like the name says, we analyze the best, worst, and weirdest headlines of the past week in the video game industry. This is episode 106, and today is Wednesday, January 17th, 2024. Thanks so much for tuning in, everyone. My name is Blue Williams, and I'll be your host for this evening. But of course, I am not alone. I am joined by my two fine co-hosts, who I'll be introducing tonight by their OnlyFans names. Please welcome Pretty Patona Payne and Drill Master Donnie.
Drill Master, yes.
Yeah, I like Donnie's name a lot better.
Well, as he said he would do the exercise one, so Drill Master.
It sounds a lot more masculine. Which I think was done on purpose, I gotta admit.
Well, I will tell you, Pretty Patona Payne was not the first version I came up with.
Oh boy. Any of them safe for work?
You won't like any of them any better. Pretty Patona was the nicest one.
I'll accept it then.
All right, well, let's get the show started with our reviews, reactions, and requests. Sleep is for Tea says, Gamers Week is a great podcast. You should listen. Smart, funny, and well-produced. It's a little bit criminal they don't have more listens, but they have passed 100 episodes and are just getting better. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. That means a lot. Thank you.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Holy Headshot says, what was your favorite part of last week's show? Mine was a vapid piece of walking plastic surgery. I'm dying and the car swerved. Please don't die. We are not responsible if you crash your car.
That should go down as statement of the year.
And Funnian says, AI voices for small indie games take jobs from small indie actors, and I am one. And you're not wrong. That has always been our sticking point, is games that can afford to hire actors should do so.
Should. Absolutely.
Right. But if they're struggling to actually get their game out, if they don't have the funds to do so, they're going to do this by any means necessary, whether it's themselves creating the voices or generating it via AI.
Yeah, and that was going to be my point too, is if they're not using AI, then they're just doing it themselves. So, use the tools that are available to you, kind of thing.
Yeah. If Rando Joe is in his basement, he's got a mortgage payment, alimony payment, and 3 kids in martial arts classes. He can't afford to hire somebody.
And now it's time for the...
Hey, Marge, what's for dinner?
Homie, you were supposed to pick up dinner tonight.
Joe!
Way to go, Slick.
Why, you little...
It's okay. We can have very important bowl leftovers. We have over 100 of them.
Aw, VIP leftovers?
Don't worry, Homer. I can spice it up and add something different, like adding a 4th option.
But Marge, you can't do that. If you had a 4th option, the whole recipe falls apart.
Well, if someone would have remembered to get dinner, I wouldn't have to try this mad scientist experiment.
Fine. I'm back. I got us a family bucket of Gamers Week podcast very important poll. It smells so fresh and crispy.
Yay! Homer, we have that in the fridge.
I know, but this one comes standard. No 4th option, and all the tears of those whose choices didn't make it as one of the top 3.
Do you ever think they'll change the recipe?
They better not. Otherwise, we have to find a new podcast to eat every week for dinner. This has the perfect blend of Ryan, Donnie, and Blue. It just needs more salt.
I thought we'd bring plenty of salt.
Yeah, I was going to say we might need less salt.
Every Monday on Twitter, we post our VIP, our very important poll. If you'd like to participate, follow us on Twitter at GamersWeekPC. Now, the question for this week was, what is your favorite old school wrestling game? Coming in at number 3 was Saturday Night Slam Masters with 16.5%. Number 2 is WrestleMania Arcade at 26.2%. And taking the top spot this week was WWF No Mercy at 36.9%. Now, 20.4% of you said other, so let's take a look at some of the comments from the poll. At Symbol the Rapper says, WWF Raw on SNES would like a word. I would disagree with you on that one. That was the game that was constantly available to rent at Blockbusters. At Basement Brothers says, others that come to mind are 3 Count, Bout, Fire Suplex for Neo Geo from SNK, and Konami's 4-player outing, The Main Event. At Gamer Chemo says, I chose No Mercy in the poll, but I played an excessive amount of pro wrestling on the NES growing up, and it will forever be the first game I think of when it comes to wrestling.
Isn't that the A Winner Is You?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Nice.
At Paul Ronald Boyer says, SmackDown. No Mercy is legendary, but I was always a PlayStation guy. Never had an N64. And Latebit TTV says, it's a total debacle.
I think you have to scream it because it's all in caps.
Well, it's the quote from some game.
What game?
I looked it up, and it was some wrestling game. I figured you would know it.
She looked it up enough to know that it was a wrestling game, but didn't care enough to know which one.
Oh, is it WWF WrestleMania, the arcade game?
Sure.
Okay. So based on the poll this week, Blue, what was your choice?
Well, if my previous statements didn't clue you in, I don't like wrestling. To me, there is just one wrestling game out there, and it's all of them lumped into one. There's no distinction in my mind. I have never played a wrestling game.
Never, not once.
Not once. Why on earth would I go play a wrestling game when you can be Samus and fight aliens or all these crazy kinds of platformers that there were available to rent? Why on earth would I choose a wrestling game?
Because you could hit people with suplex and power bombs and elbows and slap their chest. And it's like, slap. Ah! You could do all that stuff and get sweaty and roll around and all that stuff, you know?
Now you're selling her.
So, Ryan, what was your favorite wrestling game?
So I'm teetering back and forth between WrestleMania Arcade and Saturday Night Slam Masters. I think WrestleMania Arcade was one of those ones that was just done so well. The graphics were fantastic for the time when it came out, and the characters were iconic. You just loved it, you know, and like the sounds that came out of the arcade and the fact that you could play against other people in the arcade itself as well. Awesome. Saturday Night Slam Masters, however, was something that I had kind of found. Wasn't aware of it back in the day. Found it about 10 years ago. And I was like, wait. You can play as Hagar from Final Fight in a wrestling game? Sign me up. And the mechanics of the game are really tight. It's really, really well done as far as the graphics are concerned. It basically feels like Final Fight, but wrestling. And absolutely loved it. But overall, I do think WrestleMania the Arcade is a better version of a wrestling game. So, gonna go with that one. Not feeling great about it, though.
That is a very nice choice.
What about you, Donnie?
This one I couldn't pin down to just one.
Wait. Was that a pun and was it intended?
No, it was not. It was not intended. It was a pun, but it was not intended. I couldn't just choose one. I have been a wrestling fan since I was a kid. And wrestling games, the same thing. There have been a ton of games that have come out that are just absolute dog crap, but there have been a numerous amount of wrestling games that have come out that have just been so stellar. You have the WrestleMania Arcade game, which is the characters, the way they look, they're actual motion capture.
Yep.
Okay. And they do these wacky and crazy moves, like with The Undertaker, he goes to pin you and all the bats come out and all that stuff. Then you have Doink, who's hitting you with this big super hammer and everything. You have the THQ series that were on the N64, WWF No Mercy. You have WrestleMania. You have WCW versus NWO, all those. And then one of my personal favorites. This is one that I remember from being a kid and going into the local 7-Eleven where they had an arcade game called Mat Mania. It's a wrestling game produced by Taito. And this game was so amazing to me at the time. I can't remember exactly when it came out. I think it might have been right around the time the Nintendo Entertainment System came out. So you had Pro Wrestling that came out for the NES, and you had Mat Mania. Mat Mania kind of looked a little bit similar, but some of the moves and everything, it seemed a little bit more fluid. And I remember if you got knocked down like 2 or 3 times, then it's more difficult. Like you're sitting there slamming the buttons, trying to get your guy to get back up off the mat, and it just doesn't work. And I remember spending a lot of quarters and a lot of time in the local 7-Eleven playing this game. So that's going to go down as my favorite game.
And fun fact, came out in 1985. It was the spiritual successor to Tag Team Wrestling. And according to this, it was the highest grossing arcade conversion kit in 1986. So people were taking the old Tag Team Wrestling and turning it into Mat Mania.
I don't think I've ever played Tag Team Wrestling.
Well, it came out in like 83, so you don't have to worry. It probably sucked.
All right, let's move on to our patron shoutouts.
Well, we couldn't do what we do without the help of our gorgeous patrons. Here are the generous folks supporting Gamers Week on Patreon. Mega Retroman, Gamatroid, Mora Deep, Michael LeKite, Emo S, Bill Tucker, The Real Retro Gamers, Fruitcakes, Pickled Pecker, Ducks with Thick Thighs, Wizard of Zarda.
You said Pecker.
You did. I was going to leave it.
We're leaving it. Wizard of Zardoz, Bobson Dugnut, Loud Moth, Retro Blast Pat, Great Cyman 81, B&T Zillaguy, The Mad Milkman, Seven Castle Forest, Crunchy Kong, Sheriff Snacks, Frank Grande, Love Retro BTW, Steven Sand, Ramboski, Terry Kinnair, Doongie Forever, Ducks in Disguise, Don't Make Me Pull Over This Car, Games with Coffee, Hybrid Divide, Matto 1606, You Fall Before Me, Davey PGH, The Red Ox PDX family, including Shannon and Luke, Zach, huge thanks, Number One Blue Six Voice Fan, Sassy Sony, Evo Lust, and Rai Rai's secret best friend. If you like what you hear today, we really hope you do. Please consider joining us on Patreon. Your support helps cover the cost of producing the show, as well as other cool stuff we'll be doing like prizes and giveaways. You also gain access to our weekly patron-only bonus cast called Gamers Week Uncut. Patrons with benefits. Visit patreon.com/gamersweek or follow the link in the show notes to learn more. And Ducks with Thick Thighs, email me again as to what you want your name to be.
Ryan lost it.
I lost it, damn it.
All right, let's move on to our headline segment. And our headlines are proudly sponsored by the Retro Game Club podcast. It's a fantastic, family-friendly retro gaming podcast. In each episode, Rob and Hugh pick 2 games to play and discuss, as well as news, interviews, and other topics. Right now, Hugh is resurrecting his The Price is Wrong game for this special episode, where they try to guess the sale price of retro gaming auction items. Visit them at retrogameclub.net or follow the link in the show notes.
At one time, I would have been dynamite at this game.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
It's been so long since I've been aware of what games cost. You know, back in the day when I was actively game hunting all the time, I could have riddled off any game. You would have been like, what's this one game? And instantly I would have been able to get you within like $2 of what it was.
Price is wrong, bitch.
I think Donnie would probably be the one that knows the most out of all of us.
And while I would halfway agree with you, I feel like I'm losing my grip on it because I haven't really been paying attention to the retro market. Like I haven't been browsing Facebook every single day. New year, new me.
I have doubts.
It's only the 17th. How could you completely lose touch in 17 days?
Because I can turn it off just like that.
All right, we're going to test Donnie on a game.
Okay.
What is the cost of a loose copy of Soul Blazer?
Soul Blazer, I think, is right around the $100 range.
It's not far off.
Yeah, with like maybe 120 or something like that.
$115.50. Very good. According to price charting. Well, give him a round of applause. That wasn't bad.
Dang.
Nicely done.
You went over, though. You're not supposed to do that.
From Ars Technica, Twin Galaxies restores Billy Mitchell's scores following legal settlement. The long drawn-out legal fight between famed high-score chaser Billy Mitchell and international scoreboard Twin Galaxies appears to be over. Twin Galaxies announced Tuesday morning that it shall heretofore reinstate all of Mr. Mitchell's scores as part of the official historical database on Twin Galaxies' website. The statement comes days after Courthouse News reported that Mitchell and Twin Galaxies had reached a confidential settlement in a defamation case surrounding Mitchell's 2018 removal from the Twin Galaxies scoreboard. Mitchell's scores appear on the original TG historical database, a newly created section of the site that serves as a historical archive of the original score database, copied verbatim from the system obtained during Twin Galaxies' acquisition in 2014. That unmodified legacy snapshot preserves performances and achievements predating the current TG ownership and modern education protocols, Twin Galaxy writes. Mitchell's scores still do not appear on Twin Galaxy's main page of Donkey Kong scores, which reflect more modern education decisions. In its statement, Twin Galaxies cites recent testimony from Dr. Michael Zita, who was presented as an expert at the trial. Zita's testimony concluded that Mitchell's submitted gameplay could in fact depict play on original unmodified Donkey Kong arcade hardware if the hardware involved was malfunctioning, likely due to degradation of components. That finding runs counter to those of the score-chasing community Donkey Kong forum, which removed Mitchell's scores in 2018 after discovering what it said were telltale signs of emulator use in the video of some of Mitchell's high-score performances. Twin Galaxies relied heavily on that evidence in its 2018 investigation, which found that 3 of Mitchell's high-scoring Donkey Kong performances between 2007 and 2010 were not from an unmodified original DK Arcade printed circuit board as per the competitive rules. I am relieved and satisfied to reach this resolution after an almost 6-year ordeal and look forward to pursuing my unfinished business elsewhere, Mitchell wrote in a statement on social media. Never surrender. As part of Mitchell's reinstatement to the scoreboard, Twin Galaxies said it has removed an extensive forum thread outlining the dispute over his record submissions, as well as all related statements and articles. That dispute thread, as well as Twin Galaxies' original statement removing Mitchell's scores, remain preserved on the Internet Archive.
Hey.
Yeah.
Never surrender.
Never give up, never surrender.
Oh my God.
You should never surrender.
I hate this so much. And the reason I hate this so much is that a known cheater is getting away, essentially, with a slap on the wrist.
He's not a known cheater. I mean, you heard Dr. Michael Zita. It could have been a malfunction.
What are you a doctor of? Are you a proctologist?
You can major in Game Boy if you know how to bullshit.
Exactly.
So he's not only is he getting away with this, but he's getting some kind of redemption that he's going to spin as I was right the entire time. Now, granted, he is not on the leaderboard for Twin Galaxies, so he didn't get everything he wanted, but it's still enough.
Michael Zita is an emeritus professor of engineering practice and the founding director of USC's Games program. Continue.
What college did he go to?
I already closed the tab. Look it up yourself.
I'm just saying, was it an accredited college is what I'm asking. I have reasonable doubts. But yeah, like he's getting away with this in a way. And I just don't like that. But one thing I do find funny is Twin Galaxies rolled out this back and then recently have updated their merch store.
Oh my God, I love that.
To include cups that say on one side arcade and on the other side not arcade. And it shows how the game is rendering between levels and how it's different. So clearly they are trolling Billy Mitchell after this settlement had come into place. So rock and roll. That is so punk rock for Twin Galaxies.
It's beautiful because only the people who know what actually happened, the ones who are so knowledgeable enough about these games to recognize that difference, those are the ones who will get the burn in these items, and those are the ones who will buy it. It is like the most niche storefront I've ever seen, and it's beautiful. But I can't help but feel like, because like the article says, this went on for 6 years. Mm-hmm. I can't help but feel like the reason it's coming to a closure now is because everybody just ran out of money.
And people stopped caring. Let's be honest.
You're right. Billy Mitchell's reputation is too damaged, and having Twin Galaxies be kind of handcuffed into saying, no, we'll reinstate your records, whatever. That's not going to change the way people think of him, and especially not going to change the minds of the people, like I said, who know enough to know the difference, to get the joke on those mugs and those t-shirts. They know what happened, and they're not going to care that by some legal loophole, because some doctor decided to testify that, well, it could have been a malfunction.
Here's my extremely circumstantial evidence.
Right. Here's my bottom of the Donkey Kong barrel argument. Mr. Mitchell wrote me a large check for. Yeah, it could have been a malfunction. In that sense, you could argue that for every time Twin Galaxies rejects a run for any game, well, it could have been a malfunction.
You've all of a sudden just given the script to everybody who wants to complain.
And there's precedent for it. But if it's a malfunction, shouldn't the run not count then?
It doesn't. It shouldn't count. You're absolutely right.
Because it could have malfunctioned in other ways that gave you an advantage.
Mm-hmm. That's right there. That should be the argument tacked onto this. Well, if it malfunctioned, any type of malfunction renders the world record attempt invalid.
It should.
No, that's literally, it's on their website. It's part of their rules.
Well, apparently it's not, because that's what the whole argument around overturning this ruling for Mitchell, all of it is based on that statement.
I think what happened is the fact that Twin Galaxies finally said, you know what, fine. We'll just go ahead and create that separate archive section where it still shows your world records. But as far as anything up to date, no, you're not going to be a part of it. Now, this is all speculation. I don't think they told Billy Mitchell that. They just said, hey, we'll put your scores back up. And he's like, great, yay, buy my hot sauce. Next thing you know, he goes on there, what the? My scores aren't here. Oh, they're over here in this little back room behind this curtain that you need these special glasses to look at. There you go. There are your scores.
The only thing that is concerning for me about this situation is that now Billy has the ability to go back to all of the other lawsuits that he's involved with that he's claiming defamation on, like Carl Jobst and a few others, and say, basically, I was found by another court to not have been listed as a known cheater, and therefore what this person was saying about me, I can now demonstrate is false, and therefore I get a chance to win these lawsuits. That's the one collateral damage that might happen as a result of this decision. Now,
you're not wrong.
I'm not a lawyer, so I'm not going to say that it's easy to spin what that now you're on the scoreboard junior rather than the real one.
Scoreboard junior.
But it definitely does not bode well, though, is from what I'm seeing here for other potential lawsuits. And that's a scary proposition.
They reached a settlement, right? So it wasn't that either party was wrong or right. They just reached a settlement that's been confidential.
That's true. That's true.
But they restored his scores. That's essentially like saying, okay, you didn't cheat because we restored your scores. Even if they are on Scoreboard Junior.
That's the thing. Because they're on Scoreboard Junior, they're not officially recognized as current standing scores.
But I bet you Billy and his lawyers are going to spin the hell out of that.
And I am taking a look at the Twin Galaxies store, and I think I need this world record holder t-shirt that they have.
Yeah.
You're actually one of the few people that deserve that. So maybe they should give it to you for free.
I don't think they're giving away those things for free.
Yeah, one of their hoodies is like $75. Are you crazy?
They have a lot of money to make up after dealing with this 6-year lawsuit.
I think it would have been more happy doing a GoFundMe than paying $75 for
Couldn't you see Billy Mitchell getting the names of everybody who donated to a GoFundMe against him and going after them?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
Because Billy has so much integrity. He would never do something like that.
No, and he's not legally vindictive either.
Jesus.
Billy Mitchell, if you're listening, you're still a chode in my book.
Come at me, bro.
Yeah.
All right, next up from PC Gamer, GameStop bids a final farewell to crypto with the closure of its NFT marketplace.
Yay!
Pour one out for crypto. Pendulum of history has resoundingly swung back to "It's So Over" from a semblance of "We're So Back" for ailing retailer GameStop following experience with cryptocurrency and a brief moment in the sun as some kind of Reddit meme thing. As reported by Decrypt, the company has announced that its NFT marketplace will shutter on February 2. The marketplace is updated with a notice citing continuing regulatory uncertainty of the crypto space, the exact same warning GameStop gave when it announced the end of its crypto wallet. While users will no longer be able to buy, sell, or create on the platform, any assets they own will remain accessible on the blockchain via other platforms. Like many retailers, GameStop has struggled in the face of e-commerce and digital distribution. It still remains a strong, nostalgic appeal to many gamers. Not really. In 2021, we saw the strange saga of its stock price getting driven into the stratosphere by small traders organized through Reddit. Though the story has been made into a movie with an excellent cast, the good times didn't last for GameStop or many of those hobbyist traders. GameStop joined a wave of companies and individual celebrities to try to cash in on the height of 2021 and 22's NFT craze, which now feels like it happened in a different century. While GameStop has cited regulatory uncertainty in the pulling out of the space, it's not clear anyone even cares enough to regulate crypto anymore. The failure of numerous so-called stable coins, the bankruptcy of FTX, and the highly publicized prosecution of its founder, Sam Bankman-Fried, as well as the general crash in value of cryptocurrencies and NFTs have led to potentially irreversible reputational damage for the technology. Besides, we're betting our future and the entire company on AI now, Grandpa.
That's better.
Ouch, that's a crypto burn, bro. Population U. Crypto is, I don't want to say it's dead,
It's dead.
But it's dead. It's
Bitcoin's still there. Bitcoin's still doing money.
Bitcoin is still there, but I mean, it's not going to be the end all be all of cash and gold. Like everybody thinks, all this financial freedom away from the banks and all this stuff. You're never going to get away from it completely. It's never going to be this whole neo futuristic payment system that people want it to be.
I just want to say this. Our first episode was on NFTs. Can we finally get to the point where we no longer talk about NFTs? Is this the moment in which we'll never have to bring up NFTs again?
I think
No.
so. No?
It's the
I don't
line in the
share.
sand.
I don't share in your enthusiasm. I don't think that this is the last time we'll hear about crypto. I think you've got other companies like Sony dipping their feet in the blockchain.
Square Enix still wants it to be a thing.
Enix, absolutely. I don't think this is the last that we've heard about it. They're going to try their damnedest to do something unique with it so that they set the trend. We talked about this a couple of weeks ago. They want to be that first person that gets it right. And then that way they can control the landscape for the foreseeable future. So I definitely don't think it's the last time we've heard of it.
Well, perhaps not. I mean, because the technology itself was sound and had plenty of uses, but it was ruined because everybody jumped on the bandwagon and treated it as a quick cash grab, and it destroyed it. So if it would be able at some point, and I don't think it's going to be anytime soon, but in the future where it could come back and be treated with respect instead of a flash in the pan, everybody grab their money as fast as they can. Who knows what it will become in the future. But yeah, I think this headline definitely fell under the, oh yeah, that was a thing I forgot about category, along with GameStop itself. So
like we're relevant again for being irrelevant.
Sure. Okay. I guess you got to take the wins where you can find them. What was your favorite part of the NFT craze?
I think the fact that so many people were buying monkey NFTs and thinking that they were going to retire on a picture of a monkey dressed in different clothing and accessories.
Right. And the celebrities that would go on talk shows. I think Paris Hilton comes to mind as one of them, is like, oh my God, my NFT monkey looks like this and it's worth this much money.
You should buy it.
And everybody in the audience is just kind of silent, like, what the fuck?
Well, some people did get rich off of that. It's that first few people that were able to dip their hands in really quick, get the hype built up, and then get their money out. And it's like, okay, you know what? I'm done. It's all that buzzword and groundswell and all that stuff, all that hype that you had to get around this thing for people to get interested. I remember telling so many people about crypto, like, oh yeah, it's this thing and this is what it does and this is why it is what it is. And yeah, right now it's this much and I put a lot of money into this. And all you see just everything going up. And then I told people about it. They got into it. And that's right around the time that Bitcoin had its first crash.
Oh, geez.
They were just looking at me like,
this
what?
guy.
All right, next up from Destructoid, Games Done Quick's first dog speedrunner is adorable and extremely good at Gyromite. If you tuned into Awesome Games Done Quick on January 16, you might have seen one of the charity speedrunning event's biggest milestones as it welcomed its first dog speedrunner. Just as adorable as his name, Peanut Butter is a Shiba Inu who also happens to be an expert in assisting with Gyromite's Game B mode. Game B had Nintendo's short-lived robot assistant Rob do the heavy lifting, pressing actuators to move pipes so Professor Hector can make it through each level unscathed. In this run, however, it was Peanut Butter who did all the hard work. While Peanut Butter makes it all look easy, speedrunner JSR spent a year training him to take over the role of the Rob controller. He does so with a bespoke controller of his own, which allows him to press a few specific buttons on command with great accuracy and with the looming promise of a delicious treat. JSR got the idea when he was trying to stream every game from every episode of Angry Video Game Nerd. It took us about a year of training every single day, JSR said, but I was able to get him to press and hold buttons down, and he's able to do it now for a long enough amount of time that he can speedrun games. All that training resulted in a really cute run with a couple close calls. Much ham was expended to get the job done, and there's always the potential time loss hazard of an itchy belly. Even with the challenge of simply being a dog, Peanut Butter was able to blast through Game B of Gyromite and plenty of bonus kibbles in an impressive 26 minutes and 24.5 seconds. Those who want to celebrate Peanut Butter's accomplishment and donate to a good cause, further benefiting the Prevent Cancer Foundation, which AGDQ supports each year, can pick up a limited time Good Boy t-shirt from the Yeti. $6 from every tee goes directly to the charity, and the shirt is almost as lovable as Peanut Butter himself.
I love this. I've been watching JSR for a long time. He's been doing the AVGN trials, and I was unaware that he was training Peanut Butter in order to do this. So the fact that this came out and then being able to watch it as far as like the VOD and everything like that, that was so freaking cool. And the fact that JSR is getting a lot of attention for this and accolades is just so cool to see.
Is JSR getting the accolades or is Peanut Butter?
Well, fair enough. Maybe it's a joint thing.
Yeah, not to be dramatic, but I would die for Peanut Butter.
This is why dogs are so much better than cats.
Oh, I like cats too, but you're probably not going to train run to speed run Gyromite with you.
There we go. The next challenge for JSR. Get a cat. Train them to, you know what? Battletoads. That's the next one. Ooh. Train your cat to be Battletoads.
She wrapped up her damn cat.
It spent all 9 lives.
That cat had 9 lives. He just spent them all.
What game could Peanut Butter conceivably play next?
So he's commanding the dog. He's giving the dog commands. The dog presses a button. Mm-hmm. I don't know if the dog could do 2 paws at once, right? 1 paw on the D-pad, 1 paw on the AB buttons. So it would. I don't think Peanut Butter's taking on Mike Tyson anytime soon.
Which could be fun though to watch.
But I don't think it'll work.
I'm trying to think what games have really simple controls, 1 or 2 button controls. And
Color
I keep coming up with I was thinking of like mobile games, unfortunately, and having super easy controls. Maybe you can play like Fruit Ninja or something.
Yeah, don't they have like frogs that play that ant game, right? Trying to lick the screen because they think they're going to get ant. But this is super cool. I just love the fact that somebody thought outside the box, used their best friend, and did it with something that they're passionate about. That's just so cool to me.
I mean, I got to be honest. If I knew I was going to get treats, if I were able to beat a world record, I'd be doing a lot more world record runs.
There you go, Donnie. You get a piece of ham every time you beat a world record.
Oh, we're talking about like Oscar Mayer ham or like boar's head?
Are you going to request belly itches as well?
I'm not going to deny them if somebody wants to rub my belly.
See if we can get his foot to start thumping.
Oh, that's good. That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to our top 3 new releases.
Turnip Boy robs a bank on Xbox Series X and S, Xbox One, Switch, and PC. Turnip Boy is ready to commit more felonies in this comedic action-adventure game with roguelike elements. This time, the career criminal is teaming up with the fearsome Pickled Gang to plan and execute the weirdest heist of all time. To pull off the perfect heist, you'll need to purchase an array of dangerous and wacky tools from the dark web, including a diamond pickaxe, C4, and a cardboard box?
Stealth.
Metal Gear. However, bank robbing isn't easy, so be prepared for intense shootouts with security guards, the Fuzz, elite SWAT teams, and more. Bulletstorm VR, PSVR 2, Quest, PC. Bulletstorm VR is a brutal first-person shooter that puts you in the ass-kicking boots of the hot-headed space mercenary Grayson Hunt. Get the hands-on Creative Carnage experience with classic, fast-paced gunplay and devastating melee combos powered by fully redesigned controls for virtual reality. Use power kicks, slides, charged shots, explosives, and your environment to execute a symphony of skill shots. Aim for maximum carnage combos to ramp your rewards and unlock new weapons, charged shots, and ammo capacity. Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. PS5, Xbox Series X and S, PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC. Use your time powers, combat, and platforming skills to perform deadly combos and defeat time-corrupted enemies and mythological creatures. Discover a cursed Persian-inspired world filled with larger-than-life landmarks and explore a variety of highly detailed biomes, each with their own identity, wonder, and danger. Immerse yourself in a Persian mythological fantasy through an intriguing and original story as you use your wits to solve puzzles, find hidden treasures, and complete quests to learn more about this corrupted place. Based on these descriptions, Ryan, which one are you picking up?
So Bulletstorm VR, I would imagine that's going to make me throw up or have a headache. So going to pass on the VR at this point. Taking a look at Prince of Persia, Last Crown. I've never been into Prince of Persia games personally, and the terms platforming skills to perform deadly combos, that is a turnoff for me. I gotta be honest.
You're gonna love Souls-likes.
Lovely. And it seems like it's like a kaiju game, right? You're taking on like huge mythical beasts and stuff like that. So I don't know, not really my cup of tea. Which leaves me with Turnip Boy Robs a Bank. I am not a fan of the artistic style of this. I am a fan of the title because it sounds like a shitty 80s B movie. But I do like a funny game. You know, like if you got a game that's just making you laugh the entire way through, there's something appealing about that to me. So, you know, like Genital Jousting and South Park, Fractured Butthole, those games, they're not like terribly challenging, but they're super fun because they're funny and it just keeps you coming back. So got to pick one out of these three. Going to go with Turnip Boy Robs a Bank. And apparently saying that I don't like the art style got a pearl grasp from Blue. So Blue, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Clutching. Pearl clutching gas.
Sorry.
Grasping, clutching, whatever.
Yes, I think the art style of Turnip Boy Robs a Bank is adorable, and watching the gameplay, you know, roguelike action game, I love that kind of stuff. So I'm 100,000% in for Turnip Boy Robs a Bank, and not to mention the title is chef's kiss. I love it. Bulletstorm VR hates shooters. So moving on. Prince of Persia: The Lost Crowd. This is the kind of game I love. Challenging platforming, huge epic boss fights, mythological fantasy. I love this kind of stuff. Oh, and the early reviews are really, really good, putting it around like 9.5, that kind of stuff. So apparently this game is amazing and the long-awaited return of the Prince of Persia series. However, it's published by Ubisoft. So what that means the last several years is you can't play a Ubisoft game that you buy, even if you buy it physically. You can't play it unless you log in to the Ubisoft site with your Ubisoft account. They lock the game that you bought and owned.
Foreshadowing.
That.
100%. I found that out when I played their Immortals Phoenix Rising, and you can kind of get around it on Switch if you put it in airplane mode, but it's a pain in the ass, and you shouldn't have to do that. It's why I was so excited for Assassin's Creed Valhalla and then never played it because they wouldn't let me play unless I made an account, and I didn't want to. So I don't want to play this enough to play this dumb game that Ubisoft's going on, which of course we're going to talk more about here in a little bit. But of these three, I'm in for Turnip Boy Robs a Bank.
Nice.
What about you, Donnie?
Pretty much everything you guys just said. Bulletstorm, I do like first-person shooters. However, this one doesn't feel like it would be up my wheelhouse. Not to mention the fact that it's in VR, which I would, 10, 15 years ago would have been excited to play, but every VR game that has motion in it, that makes me sick. Like if I'm walking around and looking around, I get sick. I can't stand more than 5 minutes in that. So that's definitely going to be out for me. The Prince of Persia game, I know we were talking about this one on one of the award shows where they first announced it. It looked visually pleasing and fun, but the simple fact that you just said where they're forcing you to log into their server to play it. Mm-hmm. I can't get behind that. You're soft locking, or you're locking a game, not soft locking. You're locking a game. You're preventing me access to this game when I've already given you the money. I've already paid for the game, but you're saying, no, you can't play it unless you log in. Screw that noise. I'm becoming a curmudgeon when it comes to video games now. So Prince of Persia is out for me, which leaves me to Turnip Boy Robs a Bank. The name is awesome. The concept is good, but to me, I'm not sure if I would be into this type of game. It looks like Pikmin and Animal Crossing on steroids and crack. The content looks fun. I would say I'd probably be 50-50 on this game. I wouldn't mind sitting down and spending at least 5 to 10 minutes getting to know it, being familiar with it, and then I could make a better informed decision after that. But for right now, I'm going to say it's a big fat 0 this week.
You're no fun.
I'm tons of fun. At least that's what my mom says.
Oh.
All right, let's move on to our main topic for the evening.
All right, from GameIndustry.biz, the new Ubisoft Plus and getting gamers comfortable with not owning their games. Ubisoft's main all-singing, all-dancing subscription offering has been rebranded Ubisoft Plus Premium. This service is the one that features all the new releases, such as this week's Prince of Persia: The Last Crown, which is available early to subscribers. The service costs $17.99 a month and is accessible via PC, Xbox, Amazon Luna. In addition, the firm is adding Ubisoft Plus Classics on PC. The classic options were already available to PlayStation players via Sony's own sub-offering and features back catalog games like Far Cry 6 and Rainbow Six Siege for $7.99 a month. We looked at the consumer behavior and how people are interacting with our offer, and we saw an opportunity for us to evolve and charge more. Explains Philippe Tremblay, Director of Subscriptions at Ubisoft. Well, when we look at how gamers engage with our different games, we see that our back catalog is still very active and alive. So we saw an opportunity to offer those worlds to our consumers for a lower fee. Tremblay says that the company has seen millions of subscribers over the last 4 years who have collectively played over 500 million hours of gameplay. Some sign up to trial one game for a month or two, while others come in, stick around, and play numerous titles. There are multiple behaviors, he explains. There are definitely a lot of people who come in for one game and then decide to buy it after the subscription ends. That's part of the reality, and that's okay with us. Ubisoft Plus Premium price point exceeds, in some cases, what Xbox and PlayStation charge for their services. Some of this has to do with the business realities behind putting brand new AAA games into a subscription service, but Tremblay believes the cost is reasonable considering what's on offer.
There's a lot of debate around subscription in video games. Today, the business model is the dominant way of paying for TV, film, and music, but that's not currently the case in this industry. Games are typically much longer, many of them are free or feature some other form of monetization, and AAA publishers have argued that the numbers just don't add up. Nevertheless, Ubisoft is seeing growth in this sector. Tremblay says that October last year was the biggest month in Ubisoft Plus history. The point is not to force users to go down one route or another, he explains. We offer purchase, we offer subscription, and it's the gamer's preference that is important here. The question remains around the potential of the subscription model in games. Tremblay says that there is a tremendous opportunity for growth, but what is it going to take for subscription to step up and become a more significant portion of the industry? One of the things we saw is that gamers are used to, a little bit like DVDs, having and owning their games. That's the consumer shift that needs to happen. They got comfortable not owning their CD collection or DVD collection. That's a transformation that's been a bit slower to happen in games. As gamers grow comfortable in that aspect, you don't lose your progress. If you resume your game at another time, your progress file is still there. That's not been deleted. You don't lose what you've built in the game or your engagement with the game. So it's about feeling comfortable with not owning your game. I still have 2 boxes of DVDs. I definitely understand the gamer's perspective with that. But as people embrace that model, they will see that these games will exist. The service will continue, and you'll be able to access them when you feel like. That's reassuring.
Until you can't.
Yeah, until you can't.
Streaming is a distribution method that appears to lend itself to the subscription model, although currently it remains a very niche corner of the business. Ubisoft CEO Yves Guillemot told GI in June that Ubisoft believes in streaming, but that it needs time. It's getting there, he told us, just not as fast as we thought. When you are in a good city with good internet, it's fantastic, but it's not the case for everyone. The NVIDIA experience, for example, is fantastic, but we thought it would go faster. We've learned a lot by working with these services, and we're using that experience to enhance what we're doing. Ubisoft's commitments towards streaming was evident when it acquired the streaming rights to Activision Blizzard's games in August. The firm plans to add these games into Ubisoft Plus in the future, although Tremblay had little to say on the subject today. We are actively working on this part, he says. There's more to come. Our players are definitely excited about this. There are those in the industry that feel streaming and subscription hold the keys to unlocking new players and will become significant ways for gamers to access and pay for their games in the future. Yet already there's talk of subscription fatigue across all media, and that's something that Tremblay acknowledges is a challenge. Subscription fatigue is a part of the consumer reality, he concludes. And I'm a dad with teenagers. It's difficult to keep up with what you're subscribing to and where. That's part of the challenge we have as a subscription service, and we're embracing that. Despite this, we see that in terms of consumer behavior, there is a lot of growth for us. But also, the subscription business is a monthly business for us. We're asking for a low commitment from gamers. We welcome them whether they want to stay in a month or multiple months.
So, Ryan, here's what you do when you buy the burger shop.
Okay.
You charge people per French fry. Okay? Because it will make you more money. And then when they complain, you just tell them, well, consumers just need to get used to not paying for a bunch of fries. It's better for the industry if they pay per French fry.
Well, what I should do is make it a subscription service, and I have the right to take fries off of their table anytime I choose, right? Because they don't actually own the fries. I do.
Right. But that's okay, because next time you come in, this fry will still be here waiting for you. You can still access this French fry.
Everybody loves cold old fries.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it's 2 weeks old, but you can access it whenever you want.
Yeah, I hate this bullshit of millionaires in suits telling consumers what they need to think. And of course, Tremblay has a point with the way that things have changed with music, with movies, with television. We don't own stuff. We used to go out and buy DVDs, and now if somebody, could you even find a DVD to buy in a store of something? I don't know if you could.
Yes, you still can. Now, a lot of places are actually removing these. I know Best Buy just stopped offering physical media. I don't know if they stopped offering it online. But hell, if I have to go to Amazon, I'm still picking up a DVD.
Really?
Yeah, for the main fact that I want to own the damn thing, right? If I want to watch this movie, I can pop it in at any time. It's not like, oh, well, let me check Netflix. Oh, the movie was there, but guess what? They lost the streaming rights. So it's now on one of these other subscription service. And if I want to watch it, guess what? I've got to pay for a month just to watch this damn movie. And that's stupid. Or I've got to pay $3 for a movie that, you know what? It's 30 freaking years old. But you're still going to charge me $3 to $4 to watch this movie? No. Guess what? I'll look over here at my shelf. I've got the DVD there. I can pop it in and play it. And
there are other ways to find that movie, just saying.
Yeah, one or two. It's like the same with music. I mean, I still own my CDs from when I was a teenager. I'm not getting rid of them.
Me neither.
Music streaming is a thing where, okay, well, sure, the song I like is on this streaming service, whatever, I'll listen to it. If it disappears, okay, I'm going to go to YouTube, I'm going to download it, and now it's mine.
Well, and I think you bring up a really interesting point here, because I think that utilizing the DVD and music thing is actually a terrible analogy, if you really think about it. Because, well, movies and music, it's not an interactive experience, right? Mm-hmm. Every time you go to watch the movie, it's the same movie. Every time you listen to the song, it's the same song. But every time you play a game, you have the opportunity to play it differently, have a different experience with it. So therefore, it's an interactive media. And by not owning it and therefore having someone be able to take that away from you at any given moment is an egregious thing. I don't think that they truly understand that the reason that it's been so slow is because of the nature of games. It's not because we're just behind the times, if you will.
Right. A song is 3-4 minutes. A movie is 2-3 hours. But a game could be 60 hours.
Oh, yeah.
So it is a completely different beast.
And with Ubisoft's cost of their service being more expensive than what you find on PlayStation or Xbox, you're basically saying, I want to play Ubisoft games primarily. That's what I'm in for. And I just don't see that being a huge draw, considering Ubisoft is not the biggest player in the pond. Sure, there are going to be people who are going to sign up for this service to play one game that they want to play, but that's not going to help Ubisoft in the long run. They need critical mass, realistically.
I mean, even Game Pass, which has thousands of games, can't seem to reach that critical mass to make it the kind of success the company was hoping for. What on earth makes Ubisoft think they're going to be the ones to do it?
It's all the people who are on Amazon Luna, clearly, right?
Right. That's where all the numbers are coming from. I think there is one company that could get away with something like this, and I think it's Nintendo.
Absolutely. At 100%. Nintendo, because right now, all of their games are first party anyway, for the most part. So people would absolutely sign up for a Nintendo service. 100%.
Yeah,
they already are. Nintendo Online. You get all of the...
No, but I mean, if they had a streaming service to where if you want to play Mario Wonder, you got to sign up for Nintendo Plus.
No.
You want to play Tears of the Kingdom, you got to sign up for Nintendo Plus.
Nope. If that ever happens, I will no longer be a modern gamer. I will stick with the classics. I will stick with my consoles and all that stuff that I have, and I will be happy with that.
There's still indie games, Donnie. Don't worry.
I will say, though, if it was Nintendo, you would have access to a lot of really, really good games. Say it's $12.99 a month you sign up for, right? Then you can play Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. You can play Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom. You can play Mario Brothers Wonder, all their first-party shit. Splatoon 3. And that's all you have to pay is on a monthly basis. That's not a bad deal.
Or I could not.
Nobody says you have to do it, Donnie, but as like for the marketplace, I feel like Nintendo has the kind of power with consumers that they could command that kind of service, especially with families with kids.
Right.
Ubisoft has kind of a niche of adult gamers looking for action games.
I will agree with you on that point, yes.
And Assassin's Creed Odyssey is one of my favorite games of all time, but I own it. I've put 220 hours into it, and I don't really see a need to ever go back and revisit it.
But if you're having that nostalgic itch, at least you know it's going to be there.
Right. My disc will be there. But that being said, considering a lot of Ubisoft games kind of fall into these categories, do you want the shooters? Do you want the third-person action game?
Do you want Monopoly and Trivial Pursuit
and Risk?
Yeah. I don't think there's enough there to keep me interested for a long time.
The disc will be there unless it gets disc rot.
Definitely don't want disc rot.
No.
Heard you get a cream for them.
Topical. In this entire article, the thing that makes me steaming mad is the fact where it says, one of the things we saw is that gamers are used to, a little bit like DVDs, having an owner in their games. That's the consumer shift that needs to happen. Go yourself with that statement. I want to own it because then that means I have control over it. When you tell me that, just download the game. Go ahead, download the game. It's on your, anytime you want to download this game, it'll be there until you stop supporting the servers and it just goes away completely.
Right.
And then I can never access it again. So I never freaking own a digital game. I never can actually put it in my hands and say, you know what? 20 years from now, when I'm on my deathbed and I want to play a game on my PS3, nope, I can't play it because it has to be downloaded from the store and that store doesn't exist anymore. But I can have this disc, I can pop it in and play it.
And the thing is, like, we're not being paranoid here. This is a lot of precedence. This has happened many, many times where game companies have pulled a game from their service, not subscription service, but from their service, and making a game that was once playable no longer playable because it's digital only. We're not being like overly cautious. Yeah, paranoid, right? It's a real thing.
Yeah, I mean, you can go back to the example that is kind of the highest profile one is Scott Pilgrim.
Yep, Scott Pilgrim.
Any game that is based on a server, at some point they're going to stop maintaining that server. They're going to shut it down. Maybe it's not for 20 years, but you cannot reasonably expect a company to maintain a server for a long time when the vast majority, when it's only a tiny bit of the game's original audience is still kind of clinging to it. That cost doesn't make sense for that company. They're not going to do it. So eventually that game will go away.
And I'm not being a curmudgeon just to be a curmudgeon here.
You are a curmudgeon, though.
No.
But he's not being one to be one. He just is one.
He just is one. Okay. But my favorite part of this, he's like, hey, I still have a box of DVDs. I'm like you guys. I get it, right? I'm cool. I'm hip. I'm a dad with teenagers. I know how hard it is. No, you fucking don't.
You
could afford to buy all the games for your kids.
Yeah, you could buy every subscription out there and wouldn't even notice.
No, but going back to your point, this has happened. And not just with games, with DVD services. So you buy a DVD, it's like 10 years ago, whatever, even still now, you buy a DVD and you get the Blu-ray, you get the regular disc, and you get a code. You get a code to download the movie. And that means that you can watch this movie anywhere. I had a bunch of these codes in a database of these movies that I could watch whenever I wanted. But guess what? One day I got this email that said, hey, we're shutting down our servers. It's like, oh, okay. So what happens if I just got rid of the actual physical disc? I still own the digital copy, but now it's gone? Like, what the hell do I do then? So I don't entrust anybody with just a digital copy of something that I bought because they can and will do whatever they want with it.
Donnie got burned by the Columbia House Record Club.
they got their money back.
He doesn't offer like 1 ounce of proof at any of those claims. You'll see these games will exist. The service will continue and be able to access them when you feel like it. That's reassuring, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
If you have to say it's reassuring, it's not.
Right.
So needless to say, are you guys going to be signing up for Ubisoft Plus Premium?
Nope.
That's a hard no from me, Ryan.
Is there any soft no's?
Actually, see, I need to find out if there's still a GameStop open anywhere. I can take my copies of Valhalla and Immortal Phoenix Rising down to trade in for, $2-3.
I'd hold on to them because eventually they're all going to go away, apparently, because we got to get rid of them. We got to get used to this reality.
I can't play them because I won't log in.
That is so crap. I hate that so much.
Oh, my God. Yeah.
Because in that sense, it really doesn't matter if Ubisoft transitions everything to a subscription service anyway, because now Ubisoft physical copies are no good.
Right.
Unless if you won't sign in, then there's no point in having a physical copy. So sure, go to a subscription service. Do what you want.
Mess with the best, die like the rest.
No, it's never surrender.
Never surrender.
You should never surrender.
All right, before we move on, let's take a quick break to talk about our sponsor. This segment is proudly sponsored by A Gamer Looks at 40 podcast. The show explores the history of video games through the stories and experiences of the everyday people who lived it. The podcast is currently on hiatus, but there are over 90 episodes in the backlog ready to be explored. This week, Bill recommends Tales from the Bargain Bin, number 15. 90s era PC pack-in games. In this side episode, Bill and Julian from Nerds Without Pants talk about their first computers and the stack of freeware that came packaged with them. This week's question is, what was your favorite game on your first home computer? Let Bill know your answer by sending him a tweet at @AGamerLooksAt40 on Twitter.
In my entire time of having computers, only once did I buy like a pre-packaged, pre-built computer. And it so full of bullshit and adware and all that stuff. And after that, I swore I would never do it again. And I haven't done it since.
I like Minesweeper.
Minesweeper's great. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I f***ing love Minesweeper.
I'm expecting you to become a speedrunner.
Oh, actually, I think I would be really good at that. Crank that baby up to expert, put on my headphones with my Discman, sneak in the Marilyn Manson CD that I bought on the down low and have to keep between my mattresses. I'm good to go.
Antichrist Superstar or
Yes.
Smells Like Children? Nice.
It smells like, well, actually I had both, but Smells Like Children was the bigger one.
Okay. I love pinball.
Yeah.
Back in the late 90s when I started working for a corporate company, they didn't remove the games from the desktops. So I could, I was in a call center. I could take calls, but all the while I'm playing pinball. I'm playing solitaire, Spider Solitaire. I still play Spider Solitaire to this game. I love how challenging it is. It keeps my brain fresh. I love those things.
It keeps my brain fresh.
Where's my tapioca?
Gotta play my brain games.
So the first PC I ever had was like the late 80s, mid to late 80s. And the only two games that we had came on 5 1/4 floppies. And it was
That's
Jeopardy. Yeah, nice. Jeopardy and Wheel of Fortune. And I was too young to understand Jeopardy. So Wheel of Fortune, I used to play that all the time with my mom. We'd turn it on. We'd let it crank. It's in like worse than 8-bit graphics. Vanna White was barely recognizable, and but it was super fun. But technically, if we're going with first home computer, I have to go with one of those two. So I'll go with Wheel of Fortune.
Very nice.
All right, thank you for coming, students. Please take your seats. Welcome back to Professor Rybread's Gaming History 101. And in today's lesson, we'll be discussing one of the biggest controversies to hit the gaming industry in the early 2000s that had players scrambling to download it and corporate execs scrambling to delete it. We, of course, are going to be talking about GTA San Andreas' Hot Coffee mod. Have you guys heard of this before?
I have, but it's been a hot minute.
A hot coffee minute. We're full of the puns today.
I know, and they're unintentional.
Well, video games have had a long history of adult content available to players, even stemming back to the Atari 2600 and beyond. However, these games are typically limited from access to players due to restrictions placed on the purchase of such games, either by the publisher or eventually the ESRB. But imagine that there was a game out there that had this kind of content hidden behind a wall of code that was accessible by simply modding the game. I know as a young man, I'd be very interested. Well, because I grew up on Duke Nukem. So mods themselves are not really anything new, especially with Grand Theft Auto games. In fact, players finding hidden elements of games has a long history as well, from hidden characters in the code to hidden music tracks. There's a thrill about finding something that wasn't really intended for you. Now, add on top of that the hidden content was a mini game involving intercourse, and you have yourself quite the popular controversy.
Now I remember.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it took to jog his memory.
You said the secret word.
Now for the juicy bit. What exactly made this mod so controversial? Well, it basically allowed players to take control of a sexual intercourse minigame between the main character CJ and one of his girlfriends. Players could simulate CJ's body movements by choosing on-screen prompts. Not only could you engage in congress with your girlfriend, you were in the driver's seat. Now, you may be wondering, where does the name Hot Coffee come from? Well, just before the minigame starts, one of your girlfriends invites you in with the phrase, "Do you want to come inside for some coffee?" I'd be obliged to say yes, because personally the smell of coffee is an aphrodisiac for a caffeine hound like myself, and I now know what I want my Smell-O-Vision VR to be about. So this bears the question, where the heck did this in-game sex scene come from? Well, during the programming of the game, the developers and management team wanted to make the game more controversial, so they included a lot of extra elements into the game itself. Now, a death sentence for any game that is of this caliber is to receive an adult-only rating from the ESRB, mostly because retailers will not be willing to sell your game, which at the time was really the only way for games to be purchased. Therefore, the developers made the decision to make the sex and nudity hidden from players, rather than removing it from the code, a mistake that they would soon regret. And it wasn't until the game was released for Windows did modders discover the hidden code for the minigame. Patrick Wildenborg created a mod that allowed players to access the hidden code and release it to the public under the name Hot Coffee. So that begs the question, how did Rockstar handle the controversial mod? Well, as you might have guessed, Rockstar originally tried to blame the mod on hackers, basically saying it was imported into the game and they had nothing to do with it. They're quoted as saying, hackers created the Hot Coffee modification by disassembling and then combining, recompiling, and altering the game's source code, the company said in a statement at the time. But you and I both know that was a fib. Uh-oh.
Hack the planet.
Now, once news got out about the mod, it would eventually catch the eye of our favorite people in the world, politicians, which led to a headache at the ESRB, considering a decade before they were created as a way for video game companies to self-regulate content, and clearly they let this one slip by. Now, looking to save face, the ESRB would bump GTA San Andreas from a mature 17 rating to an adult-only rating, which is the only GTA game to receive such a distinction or blemish. I guess that depends on who you ask. Now, if you ask Rockstar though, they would say it was a nightmare. So to rectify the situation, Rockstar released a quote-unquote clean version of the game that didn't contain any of the illicit content.
Boring.
Right. This move allowed the ESRB to relax its stance on GTA 5 and reduce the rating back down to mature. Now, according to Screen Rant, the scandal also led to the introduction of the Family Entertainment Protection Act, which was introduced in part by Hillary Clinton and called for the enforcement of the ESRB to protect society's youths. Right.
Won't somebody think of the children?
Now, the Hot Coffee mod has gone on to inspire many other modders in the search of creation of sexual content in your favorite games. One prime example comes from Red Dead Redemption 2, where modders use programming animation to recreate sex acts in the game. Still waiting on that Tomb Raider orgy mod, #asking for me. Now, to wrap things up, the Hot Coffee mod was certainly controversial, but it was a prime example of what motivated gamers can do with the content that you provided. So thank you for attending today's Gaming History 101. And just a reminder, if you have ideas for a topic or story you'd like to hear, send us a message at gamersweekpodcast@gmail.com. We might feature your suggestion.
All right, let's go ahead and wrap up the show. Thank you for listening to episode 106 of Gamers Week Podcast, and a big thank you to the Retro Game Club podcast, Love Retro BTW, and A Gamer Looks at 40 podcast for sponsoring this episode. Don't forget to check out their links in the show notes. If you want to connect with Gamers Week, follow us on Twitter at GamersWeekPC, email us at gamersweekpodcast@gmail.com, visit our merch store at gamers-week-podcast.creator-spring.com, or if you want to do it the easy way, follow the link in the show notes, and join us on Patreon at patreon.com/gamersweek. Finally, since you made it all the way to the end of this episode, please leave us a rating and a review to let us know how we did. We really do value your feedback. And while you're there, consider subscribing on iTunes, Spotify, or your podcast platform of choice.
So we're not on TikTok?
Oh,
We're not on Twitch?
I can feel the angst in his voice.
Every time I put the Twitch one on there, it's like a jinx.
But we started saying that we were going to stream every other week.
You are correct. That was the winner of the vote we put to the patrons, is to modify the uncut schedule, one uncut episode every other week, and on the off weeks, we will stream on Twitch.
So check us out, twitch.tv/GamersWeekPodcast every other Monday at 9:30 Eastern Standard Time.
Mm-hmm.
Every other Monday is like our visitation rights with the kids.
Oh, childhood trauma flashbacks.
Oh, I was not my intention.
On that note, good night, everyone.
Good night. Gonna go cry now.
It's totally fine.
Sinner.
I got us a family bucket of Gamers Week Podcast Very Important Poll.
Welcome to Gamers Week Uncut.
Welcome to Gamers Week Uncut.
Welcome to Gamers Week Uncut, Patrons with Benefits. This is the unscripted, patron-only bonus cast with less editing and more dirty jokes. We don't know where the conversation will go, but we're sure it will be weird.
This fish just went right on my nipple, and I'm just like,
I Google Street Fighter 6. The first search result that comes up is people think they can see Ryu's in the Street Fighter 6 reveal.
Listen up here, kids. You're not going to want to get one of those VD-STDs things, right? Make you fall off. When you go, grab a pro. You'll be doing it for America.
that was perfect.
If you want to hear weekly episodes of our patron-only bonus cast, join us at patreon.com/gamersweek.